Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carolyn and I am a body positive personal trainer and an online body image coach. So if this is your first time here, welcome. This is a channel all about body positivity, health at every size, intuitive eating, and the way that it interacts with fitness and our wellness and our lifestyles in general. So today I am talking about something that I'm disappointed to have to be talking about again, but to be honest, I'm not really surprised that this is coming up again. So in February of 2018, so well over a year ago now, I made a video about a program that Weight Watchers was planning on providing for teenagers that coming summer. So that would have been 1 year ago now, if you're watching this video when I put it out in August of 2019. So in that video, I talked all about why this program was such a bad idea, why any child who would be subjected to this program was at great risk of all kinds of things, but most importantly, developing an eating disorder or health concerns related to weight cycling later in life. And unfortunately, Weight Watchers is back on the regular bullshit, targeting teenagers and children again with a new app that they have called Kurbo. So I did a little bit of research about this app, mostly looking at their own website to get details about what the app is, what it's supposed to be for. And so I'm going to describe it a little bit, give you some information about this app, and then I'm going to talk about exactly why I think it's awful that this app exists, and why if you have children or you know children in your life, especially if they are children who may be the targets of diet culture because they live in larger bodies or are in environments where weight loss and body image are big concerns and topics for them, you should urge them not to download and use the Kurbo app. So first of all, what exactly is this app? So the website itself, kurbo.com, and it says Kurbo by WW, because if you remember, a few months ago, Weight Watchers actually rebranded themselves to distance themselves from a weight-centric way of being. I don't know. They caught wind of the fact that body positivity and the anti-diet movement have been gaining steam and popularity in the mainstream. So they did a rebrand to try to kind of distance themselves from their past of very blatant diet culture affiliation. So instead of calling themselves Weight Watchers, they've been calling themselves WW, which is supposed to stand for wellness something or other. Honestly, I don't really care. They haven't changed anything about the actual programs that they provide or what the goal of those programs is. It's still weight loss. It always has been weight loss, and it always will be with this company. That's who they are. That's their bread and butter. It's what they've been doing since the 60s when the company started. So anyway, Kurbo by WW. It says, reach a healthier weight with Kurbo. So right away, it's a little bit mind-boggling because they just did this rebrand to distance themselves from a weight-centric point of view, and now here they are right in the headline of the website for their new app. They're using the words weight loss. So that just goes to show how the whole WW rebrand was such a sham and just a marketing ploy, and it's still all about weight loss. So there's a picture of some happy, thin teens, and it says how Kurbo helps kids and teens build healthy habits for life. So now they are automatically attaching weight loss with healthy habits, and they are right away making that false promise of long-term results, of sustainability. But we all know, if you've done any reading about the actual science behind the effectiveness and the efficacy of dieting, it does not work in the long term. There has not been a single study that has been able to show that any diet under the sun, any controlled way of eating, is one, effective for weight loss long term, and two, actually shows health improvement in the long term term as a direct result of that weight loss. But this is a narrative in the dieting industry and the weight loss industry that is so pervasive that it is just taken at face value as fact, that weight loss is healthy, that there is a way to achieve it long term, and that your long-term health will improve if you are able to suppress your weight long term. And that's exactly what this is saying. How Kurbo helps kids and teens build healthy habits for life. And that's right under the headline of Reach a Healthier Weight with Kurbo. So then it gives a little bit of detail about what the app actually helps kids do. So it's all based on this, what do they call it? A green, yellow, red light system, traffic light system. There we go. So the premise behind it is basically that foods are categorized into 3 categories. There's the green category, or green means go. So foods that, Weight Watchers or WW deems as healthy, and kids can kind of eat them indiscriminately, that they are good for you foods. So we can venture to guess, I don't have the app downloaded, maybe I should do that, but this will include vegetables, probably some fruits, I'm guessing whole grains, low-fat dairy, everything that follows the national guidelines in the United States. So then the yellow category is the slow foods. So foods that are not what Weight Watchers deems like horribly unhealthy, but to eat mostly those or only those would not be great for health. And then the red category is what Weight Watchers has decided are the stop foods. And they describe these not as foods that teens and kids using the app must avoid entirely, but they should limit, that they should stop and think before they eat them, and probably choose one of the green foods instead. So it sounds like a perfectly harmless system, but it's really not. Even though it's using these wonderful words about like, all foods are allowed. That's actually something they say on their website. All foods are allowed, but it's still attaching, a moral value to foods, that some foods are good, some foods are bad. And even if they're not using the words good and bad, if they're disguising it behind green, yellow, and red, that judgment is still there. And one thing we know, no matter what system is being used, no matter what nomenclature is being used to categorize foods and judge foods, the people who then participate in that controlled way of eating will then judge themselves based on the food choices they make. So yes, this is encouraging kids to eat the foods that they like and eat in a balanced way theoretically, but what it's really doing is playing into perfectionistic tendencies, encouraging kids to only eat the green foods because those are the good foods, because these kids want to be good. All right, I'm downloading the app now. The fact that it's for kids. It's literally what it says. Kurbo Health something for kids, teens. I hope it doesn't make me... If it makes me put credit card information in, I'm not going to do that. So in the end, Kurbo is a food tracking app. Kids, teens, or a parent helping them is supposed to help the kids input every food item that they eat into this app. Those food items are then judged as being good, okay, and bad. And this is supposed to help kids lose weight and be healthier as the result of it. So they validate their approach and the whole existence of this app by throwing on a bunch of faces of experts who back it and scientific studies that back it. So the main scientific study that they are using to justify this app is this Stanford study that was done on a similar approach of like a traffic light approach to food. And this study was deemed a success because people who stuck to this approach for, a given length of time ate less calories than the people who didn't. So that's what they are saying is a success. Consuming less calories is the success. And they extrapolate this to weight loss because theoretically, if you eat less calories, you will lose weight. And then they're extrapolating this to health because if you lose weight, you will be healthier. But those connections are not rooted in anything scientific or true. And in fact, the opposite has been shown in in a lot of ways. So yes, sticking to this traffic light approach of eating may temporarily make you eat less calories, but eating less calories might not be what a person needs, and most likely isn't what a person needs in order to be healthier. Any weight loss that results from that decreased calorie intake likely to be temporary, and the long-term health effects of undereating are actually really, really bad. So just because someone is eating less than they did before doesn't actually mean that they were eating too much before. And just because someone is in a larger body doesn't mean that they've been eating too much. Let's remember, body diversity is a real thing, and there are so many factors that go into determining someone's body size other than food. What someone eats is just a tiny fraction of someone's weight. There are so many other factors that contribute to a person's weight, most of which are not in the individual's control. But we're going to get to that in a moment. I'm going to close out this video by talking about how we actually should be supporting kids and teens who are in a couple different categories, the one, in larger bodies, and two, experiencing health problems, because forcing them to use food tracking apps and encouraging them to lose weight is not the way to do it, but we're gonna get there. Let's check on this app, see if it downloaded. Okay, so anyway, also on the website, you've got all these testimonials of all these kids who lost weight, and the poundages are there, and there's pictures of these kids who are like smiling and looking happy, but right under those photos is an asterisk that says results are not typical. Of course, because they're not, and Weight Watchers is actually required to put that disclaimer, but they make it small. You probably wouldn't see it unless you were really scrutinizing the page like I was and looking for it. And then underneath all of those testimonials is all of the experts that are backing this up. You know, they are weight loss researchers, they are obesity doctors, they are professionals whose research and livelihood are heavily steeped in diet culture and the narrative that body fat is bad and weight loss is good. And, you know, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure these people are very, very intelligent, smart people who are good at their jobs. However, if they cannot see that, or if they refuse to look into the research that is saying that weight loss is not a good thing, or if they can know that that exists and decide that they want to ignore it, I have to question, you know, whether they are actually a reliable source when it comes to health information. So that's just me personally. Okay, let's try logging in. Okay, it does ask that, you know, to make sure that you have a parent's supervision. I'm gonna pretend that I'm like 16 in the app. So what would that be? 2003. Okay. But children under 13 are still allowed to use the app with the supervision of a parent. But let's be real, kids are not using technology under the supervision of their parents. Like, even I, as a 25-year-old, when I was a child, was already using the internet unsupervised by my parents. I was going on Neopets and Club Penguin and RuneScape and running amok without my parents like looking over my shoulder at every second. I had an AIM account. I had a Facebook account when I was in middle school. Like, that was over 10 years ago now, and technology has only gotten more advanced and further away from supervision. It's so in our lives. Like, the kids that are going to be on this app have their own smartphones. They have their own tablets that can support this app that I'm sure that they use all the time without the direct supervision of their parents. So, and the app is also advertising itself as a way to alleviate the parents' responsibility in helping their children make healthy food choices. Like, that's actually something on the website. So I'm gonna finish signing up for the app in a moment. But on the website, there's actually a whole section. Ooh, yes. This is a testimonial from the mother of a 17-year-old. It says, Coach Thea helped my daughter figure out what to eat and held her accountable so I don't have to. It stopped all arguments about food and we got along much better. So it's passing off this responsibility to someone else. But more importantly, what this highlights to me is that food is a point of contention in households. And instead of asking, if the parents can't force their kids to stick to a diet, who can? We should be asking, should parents actually be trying to force their kids to stick to diets? Should these kids even be on diets? And how should a parent-child relationship around food actually look? So that just really jumped out at me. Another thing that's just so problematic about it is that these parents are feeling such a pressure from diet culture to help their kids lose weight, but they're struggling so much that they feel like they need this outside source to take on that responsibility for them. When in reality, that pressure just should not be there in the first place. Parents don't need an app or a coach to hold their kid accountable to a diet. Their kids just don't need to diet at all. All right. This is a fake account. I'm saying my name is Sally Draper, which I feel like is very, I don't know, I think I'm being funny. Since Betty was always so concerned about Sally's appearance. If you watched Mad Men, maybe you have no idea what I'm talking about right now. All right, let's see what this app looks like. Oh, I get to pick a fruit or vegetable as my avatar. I'm gonna pick a pineapple. Okay, it asks me for my height and weight. I'm putting in my actual measurements because I'm interested to see what they say about my weight and if I need to lose any. Okay, now it asks me to pick my goal, which is most important to you. So I'm a 16-year-old. I'm thinking even back to myself as a 16-year-old, eat healthier, lose weight, make my parents happy, get stronger and fitter, have more energy, boost my confidence, feel better in my clothes. Make my parents happy. That's interesting. I'm going to choose that one. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is this goal? I'm going to say it's 10. And I'm going to say I'm pretty confident that I can reach this goal. That's how confident I am on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay, so it shows me the like stoplight thing. Whoop, no push notifications, please. So it says green is healthy foods, eat up. Yellow is watch your portions, and red is eat 4 or fewer. So now it says start tracking. So to me, this looks like MyFitnessPal now. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and you can search for foods. That's so interesting. So it's saying, I've just looked up a couple of like whole grain carbs and they're all yellow. Like I searched quinoa, I searched sweet potato, I searched rice. Oh, this is interesting. Wow. So I just put in rice, and the foods that come up is rice is yellow, so watch your portions. Rice vinegar is green, so I guess I can drink as many bottles of rice vinegar as I want to. Rice Chex, Rice Krispie, rice noodles are all yellow. Rice milk pudding and dumplings are red. Cauliflower rice is green, and that also gets a little Kurbo stamp of approval. So yeah, this is all kind of concerning to me. It seems like they are basing whether a food, I just looked up a bunch of different things from different fruits and vegetables to grains and stuff, and a lot more foods are in the yellow and red categories than I anticipated, and a lot less foods are in the green categories. It seems like the only things that are really green are like fresh fruits and vegetables. Wow. So I just put in a bunch of what I thought were going to come up as green foods, like lean proteins, because, you know, when you're asking conventional health wisdom, you think of things like chicken, turkey, tofu. What if I put in salmon? All of these are yellow foods. These are foods where you better watch your portions. What about... Okay, All right, so non-fat milk and skim milk are green. All other kinds of milk are yellow. Even unsweetened almond milk is yellow, which is wild. I'm not even sure what criteria would make that a watch your portions food, since it's essentially just like, almond milk is basically water. If you look at the nutrition facts of almond milk, there's not really much in it. So I'm wondering what it is about almond milk that they would say, like, don't eat too much. Like, I can see it maybe being an environmental thing, but in a weight loss app, that doesn't really make sense to me. Like, why should a kid care about the environmental impact of a food if the whole point of tracking their food is for weight loss? And in the app and on the website, it doesn't give any details from what I've been able to find about how they judge and categorize these foods. Even in the how it works on their website, it just describes the green light system, or the traffic light system, and then their coaches and their pricing for if you want to hire a coach. But yeah, so that's what the app is. It's essentially just MyFitnessPal for kids with a built-in food judgment system that I can't even tell exactly what the criteria are based on. It seems like high calorie foods, high sugar foods, high carb foods are all like bumped down from that green category, and the only foods that are in the green category are essentially like super low calorie foods like fresh fruits and vegetables. And yeah. So now onto the part where I'm gonna explain why all of this is so bad. So I already talked about the food judgment piece a little bit, and the reason that this is so bad is because it is implanting in kids' minds really early this morality around food, which is a mindset that can lead to a disordered relationship with food, disordered eating behaviors, and even full-blown eating disorders that require intense medical attention later in life. Hey everyone, Editing Carolyn here. So I just wanted to elaborate on this point a little bit, because I think it's really easy to downplay how serious the repercussions of food moralization can be, since it's so common in our culture. Like, our food culture is really, especially when health is added to the conversation, really dominated by talk about which foods are good and which foods are bad. And that by extension, like which foods we should be eating and which foods we should not be eating. And then by further extension, what ways of eating make us good people or bad people. And in kids, when there's a diet mentality there, and so especially if there's any kind of disordered eating already happening, or a disordered relationship with body, or perfectionism going on, this green light system, what I see it turning into is not a way to balance things, but a way to win the game. So it's not that a person's day should be filled with all three colors of food, more of the green, a medium amount of the yellow, and a few of the red, similar to how kind of the old food pyramid used to look. Kids are going to see this as an actual traffic light. Red means don't do it. Yellow means you should stop if you can, and green means go. So what's going to happen is not that the kids will, the ones who are really dedicated, meaning the ones who are the most perfectionistic and the ones who are most at risk of eating disorders, and that doesn't necessarily mean the thinnest ones, what they're going to do is turn this into a game that they win by eating the most number of green foods possible, and the least number of yellow and red. So that's why I was so shocked when I saw perfectly fine whole foods and ingredients being listed as yellow and red foods. Because I know myself, if I were a teenager, if I was the actual teenager that I was pretending to be in the app, I would be going through my day eating only apples and carrot sticks and frickin' pineapple chunks, because Peanut butter is a yellow food. Avocados are a yellow food. Sweet potatoes are a yellow food, and sweet potato fries are a red food. I would not let myself eat a single red food. I would try to eat as few yellow foods as I can every single day. That means no protein. That means no fat. I think the way that they categorized this is it is even more extreme and even more dangerous than I was even expecting it to be. Like if it had just been the extremely processed packaged foods, maybe the ones that are like very, very high in sodium or something that are the red, and then or I don't even know. I don't even know. It seems like if there's calories in it, it's not it's not a good food. It's not on the allowed list. It's not a safe food, because the only safe foods, when I think of a system like that and I think of my diet mentality that used to dominate my brain, when I think of a safe food, I think of the green foods, and the yellow and the red are not safe. So yeah, I just wanted to elaborate on that a little bit, explain it a little better in case you were not following why I was so surprised and felt that this was so extreme, because I see kids seeing this as not a balanced way to eat, but as a black and white judgment system for foods. And if they're the type of kid that really cares about external validation, that cares about making their parents happy, that cares about being seen as perfect and good, they're going to develop an eating disorder because they're only going to be eating vegetables because they think everything else is not okay and not safe. And that is absolutely not the kind of message that we should be sending to kids at all. The reality is that dieting does not help people be healthier. It just harms people's relationship with food by encouraging this like obsession and controlling mindset around what we eat, because we're convinced that it's going to have a significant impact on our weight or our health or both as the result. But like I mentioned before, there's all of these other factors that go into what our bodies look like and how they function. Environmental factors, societal factors like the amount of oppression you face because of your race or your gender or your sexual orientation or your socioeconomic status. All of those things cause stress, and those have a huge impact on health. Kids these days are also under a lot of other kinds of stress because of pressure in school or, family life. The internet and social media, I'm sure, causes an immense amount of stress on kids, both in terms of body image, but also the social dynamics that play out between them and their peers in online settings. As I said, I was a kid on the internet in the early 2000s and 2010s, and cyberbullying was already a problem then when AIM and MySpace were the only platforms. I can't even imagine what the landscape is like for a child navigating Snapchat and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube comment sections. All this to say that there are a lot of things that are impacting a child's health that have nothing to do with what they're eating or even how big their body is. Yes, bullying and body image can definitely be impacted by living in a larger body. Those being bullied for your weight and having poor body image because of criticism about your body size will impact kids in larger bodies generally more than children in smaller bodies. However, the solution to that is not for the kids to lose weight. It's to create a more tolerant and accepting and kinder world for these kids to live in. So the biggest thing that I am worried about when it comes to this app is not necessarily how it will impact the kids right now, because likely the kids will enjoy using it. Likely a lot of them will lose some weight. But what I am, and with that weight loss may come the perception of improved quality of life, because there is a temporary boost in confidence. There is maybe a temporary lessening of the fat phobic like comments and bullying and criticism that they receive from the outside world. But there is absolutely no guarantee that those benefits will have any beneficial impact long term on their health. And there's no guarantee that that weight loss will be able to be sustained, especially in kids that are still growing. The most likely outcome that I see happening for a lot of these kids is that they will be thrust into a lifetime of weight cycling from the moment they start using this as their first diet. I have seen, or I've heard the stories of so many of my colleagues who are dietitians, therapists, personal trainers, who have a lifelong history with disordered eating, body dysmorphia, eating disorders that started with dieting in childhood. And a lot of them started when they went to their first Weight Watchers meeting with one of their parents when they were 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. So if kids as young as 8 are allowed to use this app with parental supervision, and kids as young as 13 are allowed to use it completely unsupervised, and it is all based on this very, very critical judgment system of food where they are encouraged to have as much green on their list as possible and as little of the other colors as possible. This is going to lead a bunch of kids to develop really judgmental, moralized concepts of what foods are good and bad, what healthy eating actually looks like. They'll grow up, there's a possibility that they will enter into adulthood thinking that the only safe, healthy foods to eat, sorry, I was just banging on the table, the only safe, healthy foods to eat are fruits and vegetables. And a kid who only eats fruits and vegetables will not develop properly, they will not be healthy, and that is a disordered way of eating. There is also the chance that these kids will not find this way of eating sustainable because it's undereating, and undereating is not sustainable. And they will not be able to stick to the protocol within the app, and they will feel immense amount of shame and guilt for not being able to do so, especially if their main goal is to please their parents, which is an actual option that you can choose when you're signing up for the app. Basically, I see the use of this app being just the first link in the chain of weight cycling that could, last a lifetime. And if there's one thing we know about weight cycling is that it is bad for health. Weight cycling increases the likelihood of developing diseases like heart disease, diabetes, high cholesterol, etc. Studies show that a fat person is healthier maintaining a consistent weight than cycling up and down in their weight. Studies also show that there is no proven way to lose weight and keep it off for more than, say, 2 to 5 years. No studies last longer than that, and the cases of people who do maintain weight loss long term are few and far between, either because they are unicorns whose bodies are just somehow capable of doing what the majority of bodies aren't, or they are suppressing their weight through unhealthy, disordered eating and exercising behaviors that are likely not contributing to health and are more likely taking away from their health. So essentially, I see this app as incredibly dangerous for any child who is encouraged to sign up for it and who actually uses it. At the very least, they will probably feel some temporary shame and guilt for not being able to be successful using the app, but will eventually be able to move on and hopefully live a normal life of body acceptance and intuitive eating. But on the other side of the spectrum, the very worst is that, like I said, this is the first step in a lifetime of weight cycling that could potentially lead to very serious eating disorders or serious diseases such as heart disease and diabetes down the line in adulthood, which, if we think about what the goal of this app actually is, it's to improve health and to cause weight loss. But weight cycling does not do either of those things. It causes long-term weight gain and long-term negative health results. So, should kids use this app? Absolutely not. Should this app exist? Absolutely not. Should parents be looking into this app? Yes, so that they can educate themselves about why it's so awful, and so that they can make sure that their other parent friends don't put their children on this app. So if you have kids in your life, make sure that they don't use this any way you can. Talk to their parents, talk to the kid themselves. We should be educating kids about how to take care of their bodies in a way that does not revolve around the way that they look. There's so much pressure on kids already to look correct, to be thin, to wear cool clothes, to, get rid of their acne and straighten their teeth and get contact lenses and fix their appearance in all of these ways. And they just do not need extra fat phobia piled onto their shoulders from the adults that are supposed to care about their health and well-being. So, what should we be doing then to help the children in our lives, or children in general, who are struggling with their weight or struggling with their health? Well, when it comes to weight, I believe it's important that we work so hard to create a society that is just accepting of all body types. Kids are growing. They do not need to do anything on purpose to alter their growth patterns or their body size. They just need to be encouraged to participate in behaviors that we know for a fact are health promoting. So that would be, eating fruits and vegetables. Put them on their dinner plate if you're in charge of their dinner plate. Pack them in their lunch if you pack their lunch. Help them find fruits and vegetables that they actually enjoy eating. They should be encouraged to participate in physical activity that they enjoy. Whether that is sports, whether that is dancing, whether that is maybe going to the gym. I know when I was a teenager, I genuinely enjoyed learning how to weightlift. But always coming from a place of self-care, of self-compassion, of this is good for my health, and not ever saying anything about how it may or may not impact their body size. We need to be supporting kids in their mental and emotional health, making sure that they have, trusted adults that they can talk to. And if that is not you, if you feel like you don't have that kind of relationship with your kid, maybe getting them a therapist that they can talk to, making sure that there is maybe an aunt or an uncle or a family friend who they feel like they can confide in, and working on your relationship with that child to at least make sure that they know that they can come to you about these kinds of sensitive topics. And a big part of that is making sure that you are not accidentally body shaming them or body shaming yourself or other people in front of them. Now, of course, I'm not trying to parent shame here. I don't have kids. I don't know how hard it is to raise them. I can only freaking imagine. I'm just saying this is the general landscape that we need to create for children and what I believe all children deserve. And now, in addition to this, on a grand scale that goes beyond individual responsibility, we need to create a more fair, safe, and equitable society where all children can be afforded the same opportunities, can grow up with safety and access. Okay, so that means closing inequality gaps. That means closing gender gaps between girls and boys in school. That means fighting for a society that is more just. And yeah, those are big fights. So I'm not going to talk today about what all of that entails. I'll save the social justice rant for another day. But basically, it's not on these kids to control their health by controlling their body size. And it's not on parents to control their kids' health by helping them control their body size. It's so much bigger and more complex than that. And in the end, what kids really need is love, is acceptance, and is support, not weight loss. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you want to support me in creating more content like this, definitely go check out my Patreon. There's a link in the description below. You can also sign up for my free email newsletter, subscribe to my free podcast, and follow me on Instagram for more fun, health at every size, body positive, intuitive eating content. All right, thank you so much. I will see you in the next video.